Let's compare the Pulsar Xlite V3s. I have an ES and a Mini, size 2, size 1. So right now, little birdie told me, being Pulsar support, the Mini, they plan to make an ES version, but they don't have a timeline for that yet. A Reddit user said that he heard from them Q2, Q3 of 2024, so still got some time to wait. Support also said that Micro Center, they do not have a timeline for sending units to Micro Center for distribution. So sounds like we might be stuck with the medium size for a long time. If you want a mini, you're gonna have to be like me and order this from South Korea. From order to doorstep, it was only about 60 hours, which is crazy fast. But yeah, shipping was like $17. Okay, shapes. So first of all, the V3 medium is definitely smaller than the V2 medium. The V2 medium feels more like a bulbous palm grip style mouse, where the V3 medium feels a little bit more like an Zowie EC 2.5. It's a little bit more contoured. The comfort grooves in the buttons, the sort of less bulbous side here, the other side here that has a little bit more of a ring finger ledge compared to the V1, which is a little bit more rounded. This feels like a more like precise, locked in shape, but still a little bit smaller than the V2. Same thing goes for the Mini. I did try a V2 Mini a while back. This definitely feels smaller. Better, I don't know. It feels narrower. Definitely less filling in the hand in terms of height. But it also somehow feels flatter. I don't know if I'm just going crazy. Maybe it's just where I grip the mouse. But yeah, particularly the thumb groove side. I feel like my thumb could just walk all the way up and off the mouse. It just feels so flat. I wish there was more contour there. If there's any contour, it's probably putting my thumb about here, which, as an aggressive claw gripper, I would love to go farther forward, as the EC3C kind of prompts me to do. The scroll wheels, they use the same size scroll wheel, I think, and that's why on the Mini it looks just like obnoxiously large. Like I used the example of a villager's nose from Minecraft. The CW is obviously, I'm sorry, the ES is obviously heavier with that aluminum scroll wheel, which feels really good, and the OLED screen, which is really nifty. That's how I was comparing polling rate differences and actually able to feel the difference for once. But this is quite a bit heavier because it has a bigger battery also, in addition to the filled-in holes in the OLED display. So I want to say the medium size is 55 grams, ES is 66 grams, and this guy on my scale is like 52.5 grams. So 52.5 is pretty darn good. As far as coating goes, I don't know if this is a difference between white or black or ES, non-ES, but the black doesn't really have a coating. It just feels like a very smooth plastic, like a G Pro X Superlight. Actually, these feel really similar. Maybe the Superlight's slightly smoother. Both very good. The Mini, though, this white, definitely has a rubberiness to it. It's not quite on the same level as Endgame Year, but it's close. So that's really nice. Skates seem pretty much the same between the two and pretty similar to the V2 original. They're a little bit of a slower skate. I don't want to say slower, maybe middle of the road, but they're nicely rounded, kind of thin, but no major complaints there. I wish they would use these holes for like on-mouse dongle storage from carrying these things around. Like, that's one thing, that's an oversight, I think, is you carry this esports one around, but what do you do with the dongle? Like, you're going to lose the dongle. I don't know if I talked about the comfort grooves, but the comfort grooves are a big change over the V2. They are very deep. They're not. They're rather deep, but they're also quite long. So they remind me a little bit of the Xtrify MZ1 Zeiss rail, where if you grip like how Zei does, where you really have a lot of finger contact, it feels quite nice. Even if you just do the pads of your fingertips, still feels really good. Definitely moves you away from that scroll wheel a little bit, particularly on the right trigger, or on, right mouse. Yeah, and not a lot of angle either. It looks like there's a lot of angle to it, but in terms of where your fingers actually sit, they don't really sit at different levels compared to something like a Fantech Helios XT5, where this I do legitimately feel right trigger. I feel like my fingers is just a lot closer to the pad. So both very good mice. I think they're a worthy successor to the V2, but for me personally, they're kind of a maybe jack of all trades, master of none. I prefer the shape of the Zowie EC3. I do aim very well with the Mini, but something about it just doesn't feel inspiring, doesn't feel locked in. I think it's mainly just that the sides are too flat, or maybe because it's so small, my ring finger doesn't really have a ledge to grip onto, and it's just kind of I just kind of feel like I'm floating it there, and I'm not able to use to pull down into my palm as much. Yeah, but I think that does it for the Xlites. Yeah, feel free to leave any questions down below.